Hello, welcome to the Living Box Free podcast. I'm Becky Ford.
And I'm Ashleyne Seitz.
And today we are super excited to interview someone who we've met through our gym family.
Yeah.
And that's one of the neat things about our gym is we just come across and meet so many different diverse, unique, empowering individuals. And actually, today, the person who's with us was one of our New Year's Challenge winners. What? She won our Effort Award along with another gentleman named John. So Tiffany's with us today. We're going to introduce her here in just a moment, and she's going to talk to us about overcoming addiction. First, what is on the rise for you this week, Ash?
I went snowboarding yesterday for my birthday, and it was 67 degrees on the mountain, and I got sunburned from just the bottom of my face and neck. And it's better today, but I just find it ridiculous that at the beginning of March, I can get sunburned. I didn't plan for that. You're on snow. It makes sense. There's a reflection and all of that. But that sunburn is on the rise for me, y'all, in Indiana.
Happy birthday.
Yay.
You get a sunburn. All right, Tiffany, welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited.
Yes. We're going to have Tiffany introduce herself more here in a moment.
Yep.
We're going to get to know her a little bit by her answering what's on the rise for her this week.
All right. What's on the rise for me? I did my first RX Open workout.
Yay!
I was very stoked about that. Never been RX. Never touched a 35-pound dumbbell.
No way. You'd never touched one?
No, I've put other people's 35-pound dumbbells up before.
Yeah.
I have.
That's very kind of you.
You have done that.
Yeah.
You're a good friend. And for those who don't know what RX is, so if you're not a CrossFitter, there's this global competition called the Open. It happens once a year. And everyone in the globe who signs up does the same workout, and it's released on Thursdays. And RX is the prescribed, that's what it stands for, weight or movements. And there are some things that are super hard, like a heavy dumbbell, or sometimes there's pull-ups or muscle-ups. So to be able to do it, RX is it's like a bucket list thing.
It's a big deal.
It is. I tried to get out of it. I tried to be on a scaled version for my height.
Oh, yes.
But that was unfortunately for actual midgets or little people. And I was just under it.
Oh.
Yeah. Maybe next year.
Maybe next year you'll shrink.
Maybe next year.
I did get some photos of you doing the workout. I forgot. I'll have to send them to you.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
I always love to see myself die.
Yes, right? It's always
Pictures.
good. Yeah. I took some pictures of someone else, a different friend she asked me to, and then later she was like, I've never seen myself at this angle before, because it was when she was upside down doing wall walks.
Yes.
She was like, this is weird.
That is so true.
I mean, you did ask me.
Yeah.
I didn't just snap your photo without asking, but yeah, it was funny. Becky, what's on the rise for you this week?
What's on the rise for me, as Ash mentioned, it's warmer weather. Yes. And so a lot of time outside with our little guy, specifically in his swing. He has learned how to throw tantrums. And so
the best.
He loves his swing. I tried to take him out of it, and it was a meltdown. And I was like, all right, we'll be out here for another 20 minutes. I'm fine with that.
Right?
60 degrees.
Yeah.
So anyway, lots of fun time outside, which is super nice. I need to get some legit playground things, whatever you would call it, jungle gyms,
yes,
whatever.
Jungle
children,
gyms.
Yeah,
children ninja courses in our backyard.
Yes, my son did.
Okay.
He did ninja classes for a while.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And I wanted to participate in them, but again,
Was it the height thing?
the adult thing. Yeah,
No, I'm just kidding.
It was. It was the height. It was
was?
actually. It was the height thing. Yeah.
Interesting.
You
I
know,
feel like
you're
that
either
should be
too
something
big or
that
too
doesn't
small.
matter. Yeah. Ninja shouldn't matter.
So
It shouldn't.
it pays to be average is what I'm
pays to-
hearing.
100%.
I am crushing it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Average all the way.
Yeah, you can buy regular pants.
Yes.
Oh,
that is true.
yes.
That is
all
true.
right. Being grateful for what we have as average folks.
Absolutely.
Well, Tiffany, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And we are so excited to introduce those who don't know you, to get to know a little bit more about you. So tell us a little bit about who you are, your background. Tell us a little bit about you.
All right. I feel like right now when I introduce myself, I always feel like I should do like the SNL thing where it's like, Will Ferrell, my name is Tiffany. I am 4'10".
Nice.
I'm an alcoholic, so check me out. No, I am Tiffany. I'm 34. I love fitness. I am a mom of 3. I am married. I'm a wife. That is what I feel like is my identity.
Yep.
I really do struggle with addiction. That is, I feel like, my biggest thing right now that I deal with in my life. And right now, I feel like the biggest way I am making an impact is just talking about it and talking about mental health.
Yes.
Honestly. So that's what I'm trying to do with my life right now, is just opening up about it and talking about it, as uncomfortable as it is. And it's so uncomfortable. And I think it makes other people uncomfortable as well.
Yeah.
Is just talking about it, because it's still a little taboo, you know, in the world, you know, in life, just talking about mental health and, you know, going to therapy, saying you have a therapist, saying you have an addiction, saying you have a problem with anything is just very like, ooh,
Yeah.
yikes.
Mostly people don't know what to say. I
No,
think.
right.
Yeah.
They don't. They don't know what to say. And a lot of times people don't understand that they don't even have to say anything.
Yeah. They just have to be okay with it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. They just have to be okay with it.
Yeah.
So,
And if anyone's listened to some of our other podcasts, we've talked about depression and eating
Yes.
disorders and mental health. And I love that you mentioned like just trying to normalize talking about it and getting rid of stigmas people might have when you say something like that. So thank you for being willing to be vulnerable and come on here.
Absolutely.
Not that we have, you know, Will Ferrell's following amongst us, but maybe after your introduction, they'll start to listen. But okay, so I love how you talk about your identity and your family and
Yeah, like
just-
I don't have to be something great. Like to me,
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are like, oh, you know, they are so stuck on they are identifying themselves as something, you know, they need to be something bigger, something better. And for me, I thought that for a really long time, and that stressed me out immensely. And then I finally got to a point where I was like, you know what? I'm a wife. I'm a mom. I really like being those things.
Yep.
I just want to be a good person.
Yeah.
And for me, that all of that is hard enough that I can't put a lot of energy into being anything more. At this point, I can't. Like
Putting your energy in being a mom and a wife is such an honorable, purposeful place to invest. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It is. It really is.
Well, you mentioned addiction, and I know that's one of the topics we want to dig into here and you're trying to talk about. Curious for those out there, how do you know if you are addicted to something?
And yes, I think that's a really great question. For me, I was putting something before my family. I was putting something before my health. I was putting something before myself. It was hard for me to realize that I was addicted to something. I didn't think that I had a problem with it. And I think that's a big thing with people who are addicted to something, is that they don't realize that they are addicted to it. They're making excuses for it because we want to, because we like what we're doing, because it feels good. And you know, a lot of addictions don't necessarily have to be things that are illegal, like drugs or, you know, I mean, alcohol's legal, but they're not all necessarily bad things. Some people are addicted to food. Some people are addicted to exercise. Some people are addicted to sex, to gambling, to things that, you know, people are addicted to a lot of different things. And I feel like, you know, you're addicted to something when it takes a really, really, really big part of your life. And when it comes down to it, when you're choosing it more than you're choosing yourself. And sometimes it's really hard to see that, especially when because you'll make an excuse for it. Like for me, I would say, all right, let's go out to eat. And I would do that because I knew the place I would pick to go out to eat had the best beer. Let's go to Chicago's Pizza. They have 20-ounce beers, which I don't know if you can. A 20-ounce is a Polar Pop. That is legit. A Polar Pop of Sun King Cream Ale. That's a 5% beer. I was buzzed. And, that was great for me. And so I would be like, okay, great. Once a week, we're going to Chicago's Pizza. My treat. Kids loved it.
Yeah.
I thought I was being a great mom because I was, doing that. I didn't, in my head, I was not being selfish because, I was doing that for them. But really, I was doing that for me because I was wanting to go there for me. So I was choosing those things for myself. I thought that I was drinking because it made me less stressed out. So I was being better for my family. I was, I'm doing this so that I don't yell at everybody, when in reality it was quite the opposite. It created way more problems. It made me yell a lot more. It made me more stressed out. It turned that switch off that made me, made those problems that I was hiding. It, turned that switch where it was like, oh, those manners that I, would think about normally. No, those are gone.
Yeah.
Mean mom comes out, mean wife comes out, things that I have been hiding and holding deep down, that stuff's, all that gets thrown out the window. So it's like I was being much more selfish and putting all of that before everything. And I feel like if you find yourself choosing those things before yourself, if you find yourself choosing those things before your own health, before your own family, then you have potentially a problem.
I heard you mention that a lot of people who are addicted are good at creating excuses.
Absolutely.
And you shared some really relevant ones that you used. At what point did you realize or accept that you were addicted?
Rock bottom. I mean, absolute rock bottom. It was literally probably the hardest night ever. It's hard to even share the story because it's probably my worst parent night ever. I went to Chicago's Pizza, got my 20-ounce Polar Pop of beer, and I ate like one piece of pizza, so I was very buzzed. I drove the kids home, and my husband's in the military. He was gone at training away, so I'm taking care of the kids, the house, the yard, the dogs, everything by myself, and still, being a full-time employee, trying to do everything by myself. And being the type of person I am, not asking for help. And I just decided the way to handle my stress would be that's how I'm going to do it, is I'm going to drink. And I had a bad day at work. I got off late and I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to take everybody out to eat. I'm going to drink. And then that turned into all my frustration for the day, turned into anger, turned into I'm going to drink more. So had dinner, took the kids home, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go to the gas station. Left the kids at home, went to the bar, and stayed at the bar for hours. Drank, did a lot of drugs, hard drugs, and didn't come home for a really, really long time. Left an 11-year-old and 2 9-year-olds at home by themselves. And then tried to go home, drive home, because I'm an idiot, and that's what drunk people do.
Yep.
We don't care about people. We don't care about ourselves. We just think, at that time I was being a good mom. I got to get home to my kids.
Right.
It's 2 a.m.
It seems like a good idea at the time.
Yeah. I got to get home. So, I don't know how many times God has saved my life, but my tire popped in the craziest way that it could pop in the parking lot of the Ale Emporium. There's nothing there that would have, done that. So I could not have, killed myself or killed anybody else. thank God. And so I couldn't drive home. I eventually ended up going home. Obviously my son's like, where have you been? I lied. I think I don't even remember what I told him. Completely, blacked out from that whole experience. And I just remember that Saturday thinking, I can't believe myself. Like this is the worst thing that I've ever done. I'm the worst mom that I've ever been. And I don't know what to do from here. I was at the lowest point that I've ever been at. And I called my husband immediately because I'm not the type of person, like I'm very transparent. I just want to get it off my chest and accept my punishment and be done with it. That's the type of person I am. So as soon as I got home, I called him and let him know everything that had happened. And, his response to me was that, I told him, I was like, I have to be done. I have to be done drinking. I have to get in a program. I have to get help. I don't know what else to do. And, his response was that he was proud of me for figuring that out. And I was just like, I didn't really know how to take that. Like it was like I was mad. And so then I had so much shame and so much just self-disgust from that he was so nice and so forgiving instantly that I was like, okay, well, I couldn't accept, I couldn't accept that. Like I was just crying that whole day. I was so done. I was like that. So I was like, that Sunday when the kids leave, I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to be done. I was like, I can't accept this. This is not how I'm going to live my life. Like, I know I won't ever be able to forgive myself for this. He may be able to, but I can't. And I knew that I would not be able to. And so I was like, okay, well, when I drop the kids off, I know what I'll do, And then I thought, okay, well, I'm going to go to church Sunday morning because I would like to at least, get right with God and, do what I can. And I went to church and there was a service about depression. We were doing a 4-week thing about depression. And it was perfect. That's how it always works.
Yep.
It's literally always perfect. And it was just, I felt like I could finally just put all my cards out on the table and say, please, if you can love me and show me how to love myself and show me how to forgive myself, I promise I'll try. I promise I will do everything I can to help everybody I can and to glorify you and to do everything for you, I'll give all of my life to do this. If you will just save my life. And he did. So that's, I was at my lowest point in my life where I hated myself so much that I just wanted to die so I could just be what I thought would be at peace. And I thought it would be better for my kids because they wouldn't have to deal with what I dealt with growing up. And then they wouldn't be who I am when they grew up. And I thought that would break the cycle of it all. But, God had other plans. And I'm really glad that I went and I listened to that. And I was able to, forgive myself. Finally, to actually be able to forgive myself and to move on to start to heal, to actually start to heal inside and to be able to accept love from my husband and to accept forgiveness from my husband and to accept those things. And it's like now the hard part is actually feeling things. When you're not drinking, you're feeling a lot of feelings.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is the hardest part of what I am experiencing now.
Yeah.
For sure. And a lot of addicts, honestly, because I do meetings and we talk about that a lot. That's everybody's biggest thing that we talk about in our small group is we feel now, and feelings are hard.
Yeah.
Because that's why we
suck.
don't. Yeah, like
They
we
really do.
We do. Yeah, like we realize why we used drugs and why we drank, and it was, to deal with our feelings.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it was, and a lot of it stems from, childhood and things like that. But, once you actually figure those things out, and that's the hard part, is figuring out why you are doing those things. That's why a lot of people don't realize they have an addiction. It's because they don't know why they're using or why they're drinking. And then once they figure that out through different therapies, then it's like, oh, okay, I know why I'm doing it. And then figuring out how to stop that and how to deal with those emotions.
Yeah.
And then now it's hard because I find myself, gravitating to other addictions like exercising or, reading. I'll read a book in a day.
Wow. Yeah.
Because it's like, but it's like, I'm also not dealing with my emotions that way. It's like I'm ignoring a bad day by diving into a book and doing that when I'm like, my therapist is going to be mad at me. Or like, I'm still working on those things.
Yep.
Yeah.
Where it's like it's a healthier way to do it, but I'm still avoiding what I need to work on.
Yeah.
It's a slow process. It's a really, really slow process.
Yeah.
It's hard. I mean, it's really hard.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for sharing that story.
Oh,
Thank
yeah.
you for talking about it. And
I feel like I have to. You can't get, like I said, I feel like I can't accept that kind of forgiveness without, I feel like that was the deal I had. That was the deal I had with God was, okay, well, you do me this solid and, I guess I got to hold up my end of the bargain.
yeah, but it's still hard. It's still
It is.
difficult.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't completely understand, but I understand what you're talking about in terms of the coping mechanisms. And I feel like for me, years ago, food was an addiction and it was a coping mechanism. And you're right. Like I've moved on to quote unquote better coping mechanisms.
Right.
But there's still coping mechanisms where I'm like, I can't handle this feeling, or I don't even know what I'm feeling. I don't want to
Yes.
sit in that.
Right.
And so I'm just going to watch Netflix for the next
Right.
4 to 12 hours.
Right.
Like,
Right.
I just don't want to do
coming
that.
over.
Right.
Becky,
Right.
just kidding.
You would last approximately 20 minutes.
I know. I wouldn't last long.
No.
You'd be like, stop talking to me, Becky. I'm watching a show.
I'm trying to focus on not focusing. So absolutely, I can completely understand.
Right.
That,
You just don't
that
want to
process.
sit in that.
Right.
Yeah. Right. And it's hard because it gets dirty, it gets nasty. And then you also, it's like, that's why they're like, journaling is great. Yeah. But then, for me, I get scared. Like, who's going to read this journal?
Yeah.
My husband would never, number one, I mean, but it's not even, I don't know why. I have this fear that someone's going to read my personal thoughts. I know no one ever would, and then I'm like, well, and then also it's like, I never, I have really great friends that I could absolutely tell all of this to. I could explain, my childhood to, I could explain all of this stuff to, but I don't want to burden anyone. And I know it wouldn't be a burden to them, but I don't want to, because they, I don't want anybody to see me different, and I don't want to make them sad, because it's sad, it's a sad story. I don't want to make them sad, and I don't want to do that to someone. That's why I have a therapist. but I'm going to be with my therapist for a very long time. That's just how it's going to be. And I meet with her once a week. I'm seeing her today at 1:00, virtual 1:00. It's every week. I see her every week. And we were just talking, and she was like, who are, 5 people in your life that if they weren't in your life anymore, that you would be, you would, it was some kind of question. And my 5th person, I was like, oh man, I was like, honestly, this is really sad, but you. And I was like, I would be really upset if you were not, and she was like, yeah, but I was just like, if I didn't have that outlet,
Yes.
and I have a lot of people that come to me and that talk to me and, that tell me a lot of their problems, and I talk to them, and that's fine. Like, I love being that person, but I don't have that outlet. I do that with my therapist because I feel like mine are just too aggressive or too, like that.
Yeah. I know for me, talking to my therapist, I feel like because she's trained to handle it.
Yes.
I'm not going to negatively impact her day no matter what I say.
That is the best way. I think that you put it perfect. Yes, that's what I was trying to say. Yeah.
It makes it easier because you're not like, I'm going to destroy this person's day.
100%. I know. But I do feel like at the end of it, because I was thinking last night, I was like, how are they? Because I was thinking my profession is in the top, it's always in the top 5 of suicide rates.
Yeah.
Dentists are. And I'm always
Know
like,
that.
yeah, everyone comes. I mean, patients will come in. I'm like, how are you? Good till I got here. And I'm always like, me too. Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm always like, man, how does she not do that?
Yeah.
But she's great.
I've forced myself to not ask her personal questions.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm like, I don't want to know.
Absolutely.
I don't want to know how your day is going because then I'll start to think about you as an actual human.
Nope.
And that's not going to go well for me. Which is funny because I'm constantly like, oh, I think she and I could be friends. Like, we're cool,
Me too.
But I'm like, nope, I don't want to know.
Absolutely not.
I'm like, I know she has a daughter. I don't ask her how old her daughter is.
No.
What's going on.
If I see you at the grocery store,
yep. We have the same birthday. I don't tell her happy birthday.
What?
Yeah. So I'm just like,
do
nope.
you really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can we
I like
send
that.
this to your therapist?
Absolutely.
Share this episode with them. Well, I mean, first off, I know that Ash thanked you for sharing that story. It's, I'm glad that you're here. And
me too.
Like you said,
very
everything
glad.
happened perfectly how it was supposed to. You've shared quite a bit on like what it felt like then. And obviously now you're sober.
Yeah.
And you talked about, calling your husband and getting it off your chest. What are some of your tips for people out there who maybe are in that rock bottom? Like, what would you say is that first step or some suggestions to help them towards their sobriety journey?
I would say there are a ton, if you're on social media, there are a ton of things to follow on social media that are encouraging for sobriety. All of my social media right now, I'm not on Facebook, but I'm on Instagram. Everything is either about sobriety or, CrossFit or animals.
Yes.
Honestly, like that's all it is. It's all positivity.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anything that comes across my Instagram that's negative, I unfollow it immediately.
Yeah.
And I had to unfollow a lot, and I had to get rid of my Facebook, and I had to get rid of a lot of things that were negative. And shockingly, that made the biggest difference in my sobriety was getting rid of a lot of negative stuff.
Yep.
And a lot of negative people will leave your life when you become sober because they're uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And it's okay.
Yep.
Like, it really is okay. I would say when you make the decision to become sober, if your thing is alcohol, for me, I got a lot of non-alcoholic drinks. There's a ton of stuff that's actually really tasty and good. I keep it at my house in case we have friends over, or if we're invited to go somewhere, then I can take it with me. Everywhere we go out to eat, if we go with friends or if I go out with friends, I will order something non-alcoholic to have something in my hand because it makes me feel better, but also it makes I don't know why I care that I make other people comfortable, but I still care that I make other people comfortable.
Yeah.
And it does make other people comfortable that I have something in my hand. And so I do that. I will order something non-alcoholic. And so it does help to have something in my hand like that. I will say the first time I got sober at the very end of October, and the very beginning of October, we had to go to a good couple friend of ours, their engagement party, and it was at a brewery. And I was like, oh, God.
Uh-huh.
That's
I was
not
like,
helpful.
Yeah, this was like in the first 2 weeks of my sobriety. Oof. And I was like, my husband was like, we don't have to go. And I was like, these are like our best friends.
Yeah.
I really want to go. Like, I want to go for them. And so I went, and I was the only person not drinking. Mm-hmm. And I knew everyone there, and they were all like, are you pregnant? And I was like, don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby. Like, don't.
Back off.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, back off. And I was just like, everyone, that's when it gave me confirmation that I was glad that I stopped drinking, because everyone was just like, what is wrong?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on? And everyone just kept trying to push, like, we're toasting you. Why don't you want, And I was just like, no, like, so I think getting past the first, going out thing, it was a lot easier. And then I have an app on my phone. It's just called I Am Sober.
Yeah.
And it literally, I check it every single day, and it tells me the exact number of days that I'm sober. And it gives you like a little positive quote every day. You can pledge that you're sober. It's a free app.
That's
so
awesome.
It's nice. Mm-hmm. And then, I go to Celebrate Recovery meetings. Mm-hmm. Celebrate Recovery is different than AA. It is similar, but it is faith-based. So it is in different churches around. This one just so happened to be in my church and on Friday nights, so it worked out for me.
Yeah.
I just like it because it just aligned more with what I was going for. I think the only thing that was really hard for me with AA was that it's not that they're okay with relapse, but they really push that it's okay if you relapse, just get back up. And for me, it's not okay if I relapse. I am all or nothing. I'm black or white. I'm not gray. I'm not lukewarm. I'm cold or I'm hot. Mm-hmm. So for me, I need to have it that there is no failure. Don't get me wrong. If you relapse, you need to get back up.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's, you just get back up and you keep going forward, keep going forward, keep going forward. So, my encouragement would be to find a program that is right for you. And there are so many programs in Indiana.
Yeah.
So many. And you just Google it. There's so many. And there's so many different ones that have so many different times, and you meet so many different people at these programs. Mm-hmm. And they truly are very anonymous. I've met people there that I know that I would never tell, a soul. I've met mutual friends there that I know that I would never be like, hey, I saw so-and-so here.
Yeah.
Like, no. It's great that, I get to have that connection with them. Like, awesome. I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they're so glad you're there. And it's great to have that connection because you're sharing a mutual thing with other people who are sharing something. You're sharing something really heavy. You're sharing a heavy burden with other people. Mm-hmm. And it's nice to share that with someone because a lot of people don't necessarily understand what you're going through.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have those people. And, you know, I've exchanged numbers with a couple of these other women. So it's nice to have those people because there are days that are really hard where you do need that extra, hey, I'm feeling it today.
Yeah.
Just, you know, tell me don't do it.
Yeah.
That's not
Tell
worth
us.
it.
We haven't asked, how many days sober are you?
Oh, man.
Do you need to check your app?
I do. I know I do. I am over 4 months.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, yeah, it feels good. I will tell you, because last Friday I had my Christmas party for my work. I know it's late. I know it's late. I know.
Yeah. Better late than never, I guess.
Yeah.
I know. It was the day that the video came out.
Oh, yeah.
And I was having a really rough, 2 weeks, real rough. And just everything, you know, with the husband being gone and all that. And I was like, man, it's going to be really hard being with everybody. And I knew I'd be the only one not drinking. And I was like, it's going to be hard. And then I saw that, and all my friends were like texting, and my watch was going off, and they were just like, you won. And I was
The video
like,
about
what?
the gym challenge?
Yeah. And I was
Okay.
like, what is going on? And I was just like, what's happening? And I was just like, I'm the people's champ.
I'm the people's champion.
What is happening? And I was like, if it weren't for that, I don't know that I would have had the strength to not be able to not have a drink.
Yeah.
Because it's still not easy.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's still not easy to be around a group of people who are buzzed and having fun, and to not want to be that.
I mean,
it's still not easy.
how long did you drink alcohol? Like, when did you start drinking alcohol, roughly?
Oh, sophomore in high school.
Yeah.
I had a job. A sophomore in high school, and I gave my mom money, and she would go buy me bottles of Smirnoff apple.
That's, okay.
Yeah, she was an alcoholic. She literally died early 50s of, I didn't even know this was a thing, but alcoholic hepatitis.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that was a thing either.
Yeah.
Right? Alcoholic hepatitis and cirrhosis of the liver.
Wow. Sorry.
Yeah, early 50s. Yeah. And her mother passed away as well, and generations.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, yeah, I drank at a very early age, and, you know, I hit it very well in the last, you know, how much. I would say COVID definitely did not help.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I'm supporting my local business. I'm getting, the growlers are $6 on Thursdays. I was filling up 4 growlers. Like, I'm getting, it's a steal.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know, that didn't help.
Yeah. I mean, that's almost 20 years of drinking alcohol. So, 4 months of sobriety is impressive. Don't get me wrong, but the ratio there is not good. You know,
it's nothing
in terms of all the habits you built in and all of the
absolutely
what was normal. Like, you're changing what is normal, and 4 months, it makes total sense that it's still difficult. Until you get anywhere close to that ratio again.
Well, just in my head, you know, I'm at home and I'm thinking, I'm not going to hurt anybody. Like, why can't I just have a drink? Why can't I just I'm just thinking, why can't I just have a gummy and giggle?
Yeah.
I'm not going to hurt anybody.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And then I finally get in my own head. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, no.
Yeah.
You're going to hurt yourself. Like, you're just going to, because you are the type of person where you are going to be so down on yourself for starting over that you'll be destroyed.
Yeah.
So no, don't do it.
Yeah. And it sounds like you've found what works for you.
Exactly.
What's
Yes.
working for you, which is fantastic. And yeah, I love that you've found a rhythm that's working for you. And whether you are
Trial and error.
you know, kind of that hot or cold, you know, all or nothing person, or whether you're like, okay, I need to take steps to wean myself off, or whatever you need to do. I think that's a big thing in terms of figuring out what's best for you.
Yeah.
So I love that you've figured that out. That's awesome.
Yeah. I would encourage anybody to, you know, trial and error.
Yeah.
Figure it out. You know, if you feel like trying it out with, you know, like a lot of people were trying out dry January.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, I thought that was great. Like, I know Stephanie Anderson was like, she tried dry January and she was like, that was really hard.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't realize, you know, how uncomfortable it was. Because I had a couple people over and she didn't drink and I wasn't drinking. And she was like, you know, and everyone was like, have some. Are you sure you don't? Come on, let's open a bottle and we'll share. Me and you'll share. And, you know, she was like, I didn't realize how much, because in today's day and age, you can't just say no, thank you.
Right.
Someone's going to say, why?
Yeah.
You can't say, I don't want, no thanks, I don't want to drink. Someone's going to say, why not?
Yeah.
You know, and I'm okay making people feel uncomfortable at some point in time when they push me enough. And I'm like, because I'm an alcoholic.
Yeah.
That's why. Like,
once again, back off.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know, if I say no, when we were at our Christmas party at Ruth Chris, I said the non-alcoholic beer, it was awful. It was so gross. And I said, do you have anything else non-alcoholic? And he said, well, no, I don't have any other non-alcoholic beers. And he made it sound like he had something else non-alcoholic. And I said, oh, well, what else do you have that's non-alcoholic? He said, well, I can make you like a mocktail. And I said, I don't really want those, you know, unwanted calories. He goes, or you can just have alcohol.
Oh.
And I was like,
Really?
what? And then I said, no,
thank you.
And then he said something else. And he said, I said, no, I don't want those calories, like something else again. And he said, well, you can just have vodka. And I got up and I went to the bathroom because I was just like, I don't want to be mean to this person.
Yeah.
And I also I'm not going to cave. I'm not going to bring myself down to this. Some people just don't. They're not going to. I'm not asking people to be sensitive to me being an alcoholic. That's not your issue. Like, it's not your problem that I have a problem. I'm not asking you to not drink around me. You don't have a problem. Mm-hmm. You can drink. That's fine. Like, you're not a bad person because you drink alcohol. Mm-hmm. I just can't have it. But don't make me feel bad because I can't have alcohol.
Right. Yeah.
And don't ask me why I can't have alcohol if I say no, thank you. If you offered me a line of Coke and I said no, would you say, why not?
Maybe some people would. I don't know.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, no thanks.
I think for me, if I feel uncomfortable that someone's not doing what I'm doing, it says something about me.
Exactly.
Yeah. If I feel like if you're like, no, I don't want dessert. And I'm like, well, why don't you want dessert? Come on, you have to eat dessert with me. Well, then I have an issue of feeling shame or feeling some sort of something about the fact that I'm eating dessert. And so I feel like that's the takeaway for those of us who are not currently in a pattern of addiction, is to assess what is it that's making me push.
It is.
And give people the right to say no and just leave it at that.
It is, yes. Yeah. If they're being defensive about their own decision, then they have a reason to be defensive, and they need to kind of evaluate that.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Tifani, thank you so much for talking about this. I feel like we could continue to hear more stories and more thoughts, and I'm like, I want to ask you more questions, but I think we better wrap it up.
Not a problem.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here and for sharing.
Thank you.
And it's been revelatory to me.
Yeah.
And I'm processing the things that I do without thinking about it and the questions I ask without thinking about it. So thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks, Tifani.
Yeah.
I would say if you mentioned social media, Instagram, I would love to see like your top favorite sobriety handles. And maybe we share that in our podcast notes.
Yeah, absolutely.
For anyone who is like, I need to do something. And maybe, as you mentioned, that's been really helpful for you. So we can do that as some follow-up.
Good ones, yeah.
And
they're cool. They're really inspiring and positive, yeah.
Awesome.
Cool. Well,
thanks for sharing your journey.
Yeah, thanks.
Box Breakers, thanks for being here. We'll talk to you next time.
Bye.